Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here today. We're taking another look at UMA, which is a big request from one of my community members. Actually, a few of my members, of course, because it's just something that's kind of taking back off, and I think that has a great potential. It's done very well in the past, so we'll take a look at that here today. And just know if you're new to the channel, I'm not a financial advisor, always for educational purposes only. Just know I've been trading for a long time, over 15 years. My goal is to help you become a better, more effective trader. Now, I have a link in the description below for a trading community where everyone's growing and learning together, and it's a really awesome experience. I actually share every single one of my trades with my community members. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that. Perhaps another time I have a descriptive video if you're interested, but for now, why don't we take a quick look at Bitcoin, because I think it's really important to understand what Bitcoin's doing first before you jump into an altcoin, based on the fact that we need to understand the correlation between the two, but also just simply understand, how is the price moving overall with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's bullish, altcoins are bullish too, right? We need to understand that. So speaking of bullish here, taking a look here, the price right now is kind of hovering within this resistance channel. So it's right in between, right about 63,800, upwards of about 64,800. And that is essentially the previous all-time high, as well as the all-time high closing resistance level based on the one-day chart, right? Because anytime you draw support and resistance levels, the one-day candlestick is probably the most effective way to do that, because that really helps us understand big picture and price movement, okay? So obviously Bitcoin is doing very well right now. So just keep in mind, depending on how the price action closes here today, will tell us a lot about what Bitcoin is going to be doing in the near future, okay? Closes above, then we're looking at definitely a bullish momentum to the upside, because once we start creating new all-time highs, coins get crazy with new all-time highs, and Bitcoin's no exception, especially with all the good news. So there's no chance, no doubt in my mind, we're going to see Bitcoin continue to flourish. But if you're just, say, day trading, for example, you want to wait for that, that closing time frame for the candlestick to ensure you know exactly what's going on. All right, anyways, enough about that. Bitcoin's doing well right now. That's the important thing to understand. Now, looking at UMA here, and it's been a little while since I looked at this here. Let's go ahead and take a quick peek. We're above and below. So in other words, we're above the 50-day simple moving average and below the 200. So it's getting rejected right there at the 200, which is right about $14.25. Also, bear in mind, too, that was a previous resistance zone, right? So we can see that we've got major resistance right here at about 14.17, and of course, another little resistance at about 14.75. That's, again, that little resistance channel you can see there forming, or had formed previously. We've got a support level here as well, right at about $8.63. So that's basically where we're at for the now. Let's go ahead and take a quick look back here. So back in February, it really ramped up, and then it retraced back down, held above the 50, and continued to progress sideways. And right around April 17/18, we see the first major retracement from Bitcoin there. And then, of course, May 19th, pretty easy. Can pick it out of a hat there. The longest red candlestick on pretty much every single altcoin chart is May 19th. So that's the China candle there. So obviously it does very well when Bitcoin does good, right? So it increased up here, yes, couldn't break that all-time high, but it was planning to do so, or getting closer to it, right around late April when the price first sold off from Bitcoin. So keep in mind, right here, Bitcoin is about 50 to 64,000, right in this range here, okay? And keep this in mind as well, Bitcoin is at 50 to 64,000 right here. So does it have potential to get back up to where it's at before? Yeah, its average true range was around $20 to about $28, and it's only about 13 right now. So I think we can see a 2x coin here very likely in the future. Obviously, it has that potential. Will it get there again? Hard to say. We don't know that for a fact, but I can see that it's building momentum and it's trying to break out. And there's a good chance that we'll see a lot of the market capitalization filter away from Bitcoin eventually once its dominance, it kind of recedes a little bit, which is standard. And then once that occurs, all the extra money in the industry that's getting thrown in here, because we're over like 2 trillion now, it's going to start filtering into these altcoins. Okay, usually the large market capitalization coins go first, and then the small market caps, also mediums too. So right now we're looking at 50 to 70 RSI. That's fantastic. Still has plenty of room for growth. We've got MACD converged on the 2nd. Now I'll need to mark that. That was over 2 weeks ago. But all in all, I kind of like what I see here from UMA. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the 4-hour chart. Kind of see what's going on. So we're above both moving averages as well, which is excellent. Price ramped up here to test the resistance, got rejected. RSI is well over 70. We want to probably see the price calm down for a little while, because if we look here at TD sequential, we'll see that we're getting close to a reset. We're at a 7. So the most we're going to see is another couple of hours of bullish momentum before we get a reset. So I'd speculate that unless the price goes sideways for another couple of hours, we're going to see a significant retracement if the price can't kind of go sideways for some time. If it keeps going up, then we're going to see it come right back down. Okay. At least I've noticed that in my tenure, that happens more often than we'd like, just based on the sheer fact that, what goes up must come down. But if you have a healthy bull run, nice little up over, that's much better. What I can see here, which is nice, we do have higher highs followed by higher lows that are developing. So if the price can kind of come sideways here and do one of these, we'll be in really good shape to kind of have that continuation to the upside. But it needs to calm down for a little while to get to that point. Again, nothing terrible, don't get me wrong, but if you look in the last, we've seen about 40% the last 24 hours increase, even though it's retraced down a little bit, we can tell that, kind of got a little overextended. All right, let's take a look at the 1 hour chart. Let's quickly just take a look at Ichimoku Cloud and see. So there's a good chance the price goes sideways from here. It'll probably do one of these where it'll kind of go sideways and then come down and bounce off the cloud. I see that happen more often than not in bullish trends. So be on the lookout for that. We probably have somewhat of a support level at about 1250, just based on that sentiment alone with the cloud. Also note too, and let's take a look at the 4 hour here as well. Yeah, it's hard to specify. Why don't we take a quick look at this guy here? And let's see what it tells us. So we got some nice support and resistance levels. This makes sense here. Obviously, we've got about 1275. Wait, is that 1275? Sorry. Let's mark that correctly. No, 1227. Sorry, I misspoke. So 1227 is a pretty good support level. You can see it kind of forming right there at the bottom of those 1 hour candlesticks. And of course, we've even got a secondary support level here that's forming right alongside of Fibonacci retracement. So got this little support and resistance channel that could and should work as a support level moving forward to keep the price up. But again, we'll see here soon. So, my prediction based on what I see here so far is the fact that this has great potential to return back to its average true range of about $20 to $28. That would put us at about a 2 to 2.5x. So honestly, even an investment right now is perfectly fine. You'll still return your investment, but you got to give it time to mature. This isn't going to happen overnight, but I would say in the next 1 to 2 months, we'll see a pretty strong push to the upside, and it'll likely break some of this resistance channel, of course. That'll happen soon. But within the next month or two, I'd say we're going to be at 20 to 28 range, back in its average true range, and then kind of go from there. If it can break its all-time high, then we're going to be in a really, really good position to see about a 3x, and it'll continue possibly to uncharted territory at that point. But again, a lot of room for growth, but a lot of, it's not a downhill coast, right? It is an uphill battle. It needs to push and break these most recent highs in order to have some opportunity to be able to get into its average true range. So if you do see the 1 day candlestick close above right around to say 1490 or round number 15, then and only then would be a good consideration to add to your position, and you will see the price increase from there, because there's no real major resistance levels up until about $20, $21, right? Yeah, right here we got a resistance channel about between 1950 and about 2050. Okay. In fact, I'll just mark that for you really quick, and when we come back later, we'll go ahead and see what kind of progress has been made. That's why I love doing these kind of analysis, because we can look later and kind of see what happened. So when we review this again later, we'll see and know specifically if we're able to break those channels or not. So hopefully you found benefit here today. If you do, like and subscribe. If you haven't already, of course, reference my Patreon community. Get to hopefully get to know you a bit better. But more important than that, I want you to be safe and careful here. Move your stop loss higher as you take profits, and always set profit targets before you jump into a trade. Okay. In other words, don't jump into a trade. Think about it before you get into a trade, and essentially make sure that you know what you want to get out of it, and record everything too, so you can learn from your mistakes and see what you did wrong, so you can't keep continuing the same issue over and over. That'll help me a lot. I record everything in Excel personally, and it's led me to about an 85% success rate, which is why I feel comfortable providing trades to my community members, and allowing you to kind of one-click follow with the trading bots, because it just works out very effectively in that sense. But I'm more of a patient trader, and I think patience is probably the most important foundational skill you can develop, right? It doesn't come naturally, but be patient. I promise you, what goes up comes down. You'll have your opportunity to get back in. Either way, hope you found benefit here. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you and my patrons as well. Appreciate the request. Have a good rest of your day. We'll see you in the next one.